August 26th meeting. First of all, acknowledge that we're on the traditional territory of the Southwest First Nation. It's their land that we live, work, and play each day. You have an agenda in front of you. There is a thing to amend the agenda, 9.3, Public Works Building Report. So I need a motion to amend
I'll move that we adopt as amended.
Second.
Is it okay? Good.
Yes.
All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Okay, you have the minutes of September the 6th.
Lift it up.
Okay. Any errors or omissions? None? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Okay, there's no comments from the public during the election period. So delegations, we don't have delegations, but we have two reports here. One is the housing committee report, and Councillor Losey, I'll turn it over to you.
Right. Okay. Well, I'm not going to read it word for word, but I would just like to add that the housing committee had its first meeting in August of 2021, and we've met monthly since then, and it's been a time of a lot of interesting discussion. Some of the challenges within the community to see housing go forward. And one of the things that we have most recently discovered is there's a real disparity between the market value of homes and the cost to actually build homes as they're appraised in our community. And this is creating a real barrier for people to access financing and builders or developers. So we believe that the Housing Committee would like to see this disparity addressed through appraisers having standards that actually capture the energy efficiency in a home. I mean, those are going to be mandatory, and they're not recognized anywhere in the appraisals unless the terms of reference by the banks are requesting that. So I think that is a really key issue. And furthermore, downgrading the value of homes in rural communities, even though the cost to build and replace the homes is the same or greater in larger communities. And so just to guess the fact that lending institutions are only concerned about market value, which I guess that's what they're in the business to do, but there has to be something to capture the real cost. So we're going to continue, I think, continuing to look at that and making some of the policies going forward at a higher level. Be helpful, I believe. We have no recommendations. Our last meeting was canceled because we did not have quorum. So we're going to meet on October 6th. And then I would like to capture from the Housing Committee if they do have any recommendations that they would like to see happen at the local level going forward. So one of the other mandates of our Housing Committee was to look at a housing strategy or action plan. And so we didn't develop anything like that. That's quite time consuming and requires a level of expertise that we didn't have. But we certainly did look at a lot of issues that I think would certainly contribute to a housing strategy that as one is created, we would really like to see a housing strategy come forth. I think that's something that the next council could look at. But we have a lot of information, I guess, that we gathered from the meetings that I think would be helpful. And so I'm just going to leave it at that. And I would suggest, reading the report or going back through the minutes if you'd like more details on some of those discussions that we had in regard to that. We did recognize that, one of the things early on that we recognized, in order to attract development to our community, developers would like to know what's available. When I'm looking at a parcel of land, I want to know exactly what's there. what infrastructure is there, what is the zoning on that property, and what's it going to cost me to make sure that whatever I want to do on that property is feasible. So the committee had requested or recommended to council that they get some kind of water and sewer capacity modeling study, which was completed in July 2022. So that was an accomplishment. And there was also generated within our organization a vacant lots map, and it was generated from internal GIS mapping that identifies vacant lots or vacant land zoning data and shows where underground services are in relation to it. These maps include a hill shading layer that uses LiDAR data to give a better understanding of the geography of forest and where forested areas are. So I think that's something that is really helpful. It's not precise, but it gives somebody coming into our community a general idea of what's available. And if that much information piques their interest, then they can invest more time and effort into pursuing that parcel of land going forward. But it really, I think, for me, I think it says that we've done our budget to do. Again, we've tried to have discussions with the Housing Hub, and still some gray areas around how the Housing Hub can help our community. So we're continuing to meet with, I have a meeting next week with him online to just give him a scenario. Or is Vanderhoof not a feasible place for them? Is this not a resource that folks in Vanderhoof could use? I'd really like to clearly understand that, and if it isn't, then maybe understand a little bit better why not. And if it isn't, then it's not. If this program isn't serving our community, then those folks who are the initiators of this program need to know that. So we are also having a community engagement at the end of October 29th on housing. So we're hoping to get some more data out of that. Anyway, that's my report as I stumbled through it. Sorry. It's been a long day. Any questions?
Questions, comments?
Did I miss anything, Kim?
No, I think it's a great report. One thing I just would want to add, because I think the next council is going to have to involve some political pressures, and that was around understanding the lending practices here in the northern regions, not just Vanderbilt, just understanding how we can find ways to give incentive for lenders to help out those who are trying to build or trying to develop or even first-time buyers, because it seems that how do we say this? Sometimes it seemed, after we heard from some individuals and also some of the lenders that came, that it isn't the same in every community in terms of how houses are being assessed, but also how you'll be able to borrow money. So we want to understand that better. And if it comes to the point where we need to have some provincial assistance, I think the next council will have to. It could be a long process, but I think it's reality.
Yeah.
And the North has to look at that somehow. Right?
Two questions. The vacant lots map, does it identify how many vacant lots we have? Is it 70 or 80 or?
It's more than that.
Yeah, and serviced or non-serviced?
Yes,
Yeah, okay.
it shows where the infrastructure.
Perfect. So the old
Yeah,
argument
all
of
there.
there's nowhere
Yeah.
to build.
That's
Okay,
right.
good.
Yeah.
And the other one is did you say you used LiDAR?
Yeah,
Or-
it says, this is info I got from our CAO. They include a hill shading layer that uses LiDAR data to give a better.
Where did we get the LiDAR from?
The regional district of Fraser Port George.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Good. Because I think and has all of the valley or all of the town gotten shot with LiDAR?
I believe
Oh,
so.
well, that's a bonus. Good.
Yeah, have a look at, I
Yeah,
could actually send you the message.
it's pretty-
email.
LiDAR is fantastic.
Yeah.
So.
Yes, Gerald.
Through the mayor to council. So the LiDAR data that the GIS system uses is actually from the province's floodplain mapping that it did around 2018. So this is actually provincial data that we've integrated with our own internal GIS system.
Okay, sorry.
That's all good. It's,
Thanks.
we've got it. So
Yeah.
that's good.
I'm so thankful that your computer generated map shows that I wasn't telling the untruth, which I think some people thought I was when I was at 73.
Okay.
Anyways,
Who's he looking at there?
so NDI, today, as you know, we've done a number of studies. We've had the work people here. We have 246 jobs on the work thing here, that are vacant. We have probably over 300 between us and Fraser Lake jobs that are vacant. We have probably 500 once you take in Fort St. James of vacant jobs. So we know that we don't need any more jobs in town. We need to find people to come here and take the jobs. We did a report on job market in northern BC and have been working on that. One of the things, NDI was set up to get an economic driver. Okay, we're obviously realizing from everything that we do that the economy, what we do need is people here in our community. So I think one of the things that hopefully, and I wish there was a way to make these recommendations to go into the next council to say what needs to be done. Like there's a whole pile of work to work with NDI. Okay. This laying on the table, our first sort of rack was spent this year, kind of a thing. And so we need to somehow apply for grants to get housing, inventory into our community. So the thing is it's going to be a huge shift of NDI, and it's going to be a responsibility of the council, I think, to lead that. But I think it really needs to be a refocus of away from the economy. How do we get people into town? Right. And our healthcare has taken a real beating in the last couple of years, especially nurses. And we heard that all over. The whole meeting today was we've got doctors, we're short of nurses, and you cannot run an emergency room. You can't run anything without nurses. Anyways, that's going to be a challenge that we face. Okay, is that it?
That's it.
Okay.
Okay, my report's a little bit higher level, not so much detail. Just looking at what we've been working on over the last 9 meetings. The inaugural meeting for the Environment Committee was December 2021. Air topics have included air quality, flood mitigation, wetlands, bank erosion, watershed contamination management, and waste management. We spent a lot of time on air quality. As you'll remember, we had a new solid fuel bylaw coming out in December 2019. It got first reading. We were going to do a whole bunch of public engagement, and then the world shut down. So that kind of died on the floor there. So we've been looking at that, looking at the current burning bylaw, kind of amalgamating the two, looking what we wanted to come forward, and we've made that recommendation to council, and imagine that will come up sometime early in the new council's mandate to look at that solid fuel burning bylaw. We also set up a purple air network, and again, that was a recommendation to council to invest into that. The Ministry of Environment put up 3 units, we bought another 10. Having that data collected from around the town is really cool. I put a link in the report to where you can see that map. But if anybody wants to check it out, just Google purple air map. It'll come right to Vanderhoof. You can see real time what the air quality is around town in different parts of town. Not scientific hard data like the station is over at the courthouse, but it gives you a general idea of what's going on here and there. We took a look at flood mitigation, and the plan is, I can't remember the date right now, we're setting up a public engagement meeting to get it back on the table, to get people engaged. We didn't want to do it during the election period, but we're going to bring that out afterwards. Remembering, you know, sort of 2007, when you look at it, that was like a 1 in 35-year event, right? So when you look at Merritt, you look at other places, I think we need to dust off those things and push a little harder. What are we going to do? You know, the lagoons at a 100-year flood level isn't okay now. We need to look at a 200 flood-year level for sure, right?
Mhm.
Things like that. So that's work that I look forward to seeing in the future. ICI recycling remains a challenge. We've been talking with the regional district on that. I have been taking part in the BC Solid Waste Working Group meetings. It's a fairly new group, got 3 meetings under its belt. Mostly staff from regional districts, a few politicians on there. I think need politicians for a few more meetings and probably the staff can run with it. But really working together to see how you can get those solutions outside the Lower Mainland, because everybody's in the same boat basically. We did make the recommendation to council to advocate for single-use pallets to find a better solution for them. That's ongoing. It is a huge waste when you're up at the transfer station to see how much fiber is just lost to that. Then bank erosion on Riverside Park looks good, but it'll be the spring before we really know if that's gone forward. Just want to say this has been a great group to work with, and I would definitely recommend all those names for the next environment committee.
Yeah, I sent out a thing today, just earlier today, certainly at the RD. Our agenda item was on tipping fees, and that will change everything in the town, and it certainly will with our dump truck, you know, our garbage truck, because I think we realize that, well, we were told 14 years ago that we're the only regional district that doesn't have tipping fees. And the thing is, and so there's no encouragement to recycle. And we've seen that a lot, and it's costing so much. The environmental standards, if you think of the reading that I have to do in the course of a week, just on, you know, just the environmental standards of the landfill and what we have to do now, it's work. So it's got to be there. So anyways, yeah, it's an interesting time, and we'll see where that goes. Thanks. Okay, here's where the public comments, and like I say, there's no opportunity at this point. I'm right, eh, Willie?
Yes, you're correct, Mr. Mayor.
I'm very seldom. Okay, 7.1. Gerald, are you on the line?
Yes, so our first item tonight is the Capital Projects and Initiatives Policy 5.17. There's a recommendation from staff to adopt the policy. Our Chief Financial Officer is here to speak to the report if council has any questions.
Questions? I'm just amazed at what a Class C estimate is, what a Class D estimate is. And the CAO and myself talked in our Monday morning meeting this morning regarding this, and yeah, to make any decisions on anything less than a Class C estimate really isn't worthwhile.
Jesus.
I know we need to have accountability, and that is why that this is different than operating a business. There has to be accountability back to the taxpayers, but yeah, I think this is, you know, I don't know. I hope that this brings clarity to the decision making and the communication, you know, discussion. Yes,
Gerald, just one question. Under the New West Partnership Trade Agreement, did they raise the level of going to that, like falling under that? Is it, I'm just for figures, is it 100,000? Is it $1 million? Is it everything? Do you know?
Yeah, so I did verify on the NWPTA website that they've now matched the Canada Free Trade Agreement thresholds.
So is anybody comfortable enough to make the recommendation motion?
I'll move the motion.
Second that.
Any discussion, any questions? And none, all in favor? Opposed? Carried. Okay, revitalization tax exemption.
The recommendation tonight is to approve the revitalization tax agreement as presented. Our CFO is again here to speak to any questions there may be on the report.
Yes.
Move to approve.
I'll second it.
So it's a 5-year tax break. The 2023 is in here, which is a full tax break. And then it's 80% the next year, 60%, 40, 20, and then full tax. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Okay. 7.3.
This item is being presented for council's information.
Move to approve? Oh, I guess we don't move
No,
things anymore, do we?
I-
We're just so used to that.
Okay, is there any questions? Okay, seeing none. Coastal GasLink trailer.
The recommendation on this item tonight is that the trailer that CGL donated to the district be disposed of via BC auction, with any proceeds going towards the design of a new airport terminal building.
The recommendation.
I'll second that.
You're sure, you guys are sure about it? You don't want to have it as a temporary building? It was just that we don't, yeah, in KDF.
Is there use for it somewhere else? We
I
know of.
doubt it, I doubt it. It's a pretty specific building. All in favor? Opposed? Carried.
Our next item is decide.
When would that go on to BC?
I'll refer that question over to our CFO.
I can put it up on there whenever, now that I have the resolution, it can go up sooner rather than later if you like.
Okay. It's just interesting, you know. Okay, sidewalk inspection maintenance policy.
The recommendation tonight is that the draft policy be adopted. Our corporate officer is here to speak to the report if there are any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We would like to add under section 3.2, add 4th Street to that list. And then the recommendation would be to adopt the policy as amended.
Is pretty important in that it's a school artery, you know, that leads into all the areas back and forth. Any questions? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Building permit report.
Through the mayor to council, this is the building permits issued in August 2022. As a general note, it has been a fairly slow year for building permits. These two are both institutional, one being the district's public work building, the second being an elevator addition for SC 91's high school.
Okay, then on to 9.1. Climb steps. Looks good, eh?
Ending in the right direction.
Yeah, I think we've seen it month over month that we seem to be hitting all the right things as